College football playoff or bust for the Sun Devils in 2025. It's that simple, or is it?
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Richie Bradshaw, your guide, your friend, your host for all things Sun Devils, from the gridiron to the hardwood and everything in between. On today's agenda, what are expectations for the Sun Devils this year? That's what we're focusing on the whole time. Is it college football playoff or bust? Is a Big 12 title a necessity? What overall just defines success for the Sun Devils this year? All that's coming up today. Before we get started, thanks to each and every single one of you for tuning into Locked On Sun Devils to make us your first listen of the day. And a shout out to the everydayers who are here every day. College football playoff or bust. That's kind of the way you could interpret the Sun Devils season. But should you? Here's my thinking with all of this. What the Sun Devils have right now is special. They're returning a lot from last year. The second most production in the nation from last year's team, which won 11 games, the Big 12 Conference in its first year in the conference, and went to the college football playoff and took a blue blood Texas Longhorns team to double overtime. They are bringing back the second most returning production from last year. They are missing Cam Skadden, the people's running back. He is in the NFL now. TBD. What happens there? TBD. I don't know. What I do know is ASU has some kind of answer in the running back field, whether it's going to be a single guy or multiple guys. You just want to replace his production. But you do have Sam Leavitt and Jordyn Tyson. Quarterback one, wide receiver one coming back. Those two were electric last year. That is the best returning quarterback to wide receiver combo in the country. That's worth something. Now, defense is back too. That was the best run defense in the Big 12 last year. They were one of the best points per game defenses last year. They stepped up when they needed to. A lot of that defense is back. You are missing some of your more important guys. Shamari Simmons is gone. But you're bringing back guys who were arguably just as important, maybe none more so than Xavier Alford, the safety, and friend of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. Fun fact. You also bring back your coaching staff. Kenny Dillingham is back. Both your coordinators, Marcus Arroyo, Brian Ward, are back. The entirety of your assistant coaching staff is back. So you're not just returning production, you're returning the defense, you're returning your superstars, most of them, and you're returning your coaching staff. That's a lot. And typically, if your more established programs were bringing that stuff back, they would be considered like heavyweight contenders to win a championship. An example, Clemson, who is returning the most production in the nation, is one of the top heavyweight favorites to win a championship. That is my personal pick to win a national championship this year. Not my Sun Devils. As much as I want to, we just aren't there yet. If Ohio State had that, Ohio State would be one of them. If Alabama or Georgia had that, they'd be one of them. Okay, so why isn't ASU one of them? Okay, I'll tell you why ASU isn't one of them. It's because ASU is not there yet, and they're not even close to being there yet. This is 1 year of major success. Not good success, not above average success for what's relative to the program and its history. This is major historical success that the Sun Devils have found. This is major success that has not been found very much in college football over the last several years. When is the last time you had a team win its conference in the first year of relocating to the conference? Texas and Oklahoma moved to the SEC last year. They did not win it. Texas did go to the SEC championship game, but they didn't win it. USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon went to the Big Ten. Oh, well, I guess Oregon did win the Big Ten. All right, fair enough. But the next thing I was going to say is if a team has done that, who had the rebound from being as bad as they were to as great as they were? Because that wasn't Oregon. Oregon's been great for a long time. So there you go. I stumped myself on the first one, but I was always going to bring up the second one, and that's that ASU did that out of nowhere. There's a reason they're the Cinderella team this year, or they were last year, I should say. So to get back to the college football playoff is an immense task. You're asking the program to do something that it literally did for the first time last year. You're asking it to do it in a conference that is vastly overlooked, right, wrong, or indifferent, which is also going to stack against it. You are asking the Sun Devils to do something that they have not done in a very long time. Sustain massive success. We've seen good seasons. We saw Todd Graham win consecutive 10 game seasons. There we go. I don't know, something like that. In 2013 and 2014. Prior to that, I don't think ASU had double wins in consecutive years since the turn of the century. By the way, in either of those seasons, they did not win the Pac-12 conference. This is the first time ASU won its conference since the turn of the century. It's also the first time ASU won its conference via a conference championship game. These are things that ASU has not done before. We're going to talk about the Big 12 a little bit later on. But when you compare what ASU just did to those other programs, it's not close. Georgia does win the SEC more often than not. Alabama wins the SEC more often than not. Ohio State, Oregon, those are teams that consistently win their conference and go to the college football playoff. Alabama missed the playoff for the first time last year in a 12-team playoff, which is insane to think. But it happened. That is not something that they were expecting would happen. But these things happen. Excuse my dog. She is very happy with her toy at the moment. We can't just expect ASU to repeat the success that even some of the best programs in the country struggle to have. No matter what ASU is returning, and ASU is returning just about everything. That's kind of what they're looking at. And that's the reason, too, why ASU is seeing such high expectations, is because they are returning so much. And it's understandable at that point why you kind of feel that way. Well, they won 11 games last year with this team, and they're bringing back this team. Why can't they do it again this year? That's understandable. Like I said, if you did that for another program, that would be the minimum expectation. If Ohio State won 11 games last year, not a national championship. They won 11 games last year with the team they had, and they brought back everyone except Emeka Ibuka and Travion Henderson. You'd be like, yeah, no, it's college football playoff or bust at a minimum for them. For sure. That should not be the case for Arizona State. Not yet. They could get there. I expect they're going to get there one day. The sleeping giant, right? But we also have seen the highest upside possible from this program, something that we've been waiting to see for a very long time. We got a glimpse of that last year. So I do think there's a chance that you can get to that point. But is the season college football playoff or bust? I suppose that's up for you to decide. For me personally, I'm not going to go there. The biggest reason why is just because we have not seen ASU be able to go there. Also, it's Kenny Dillingham's third year. I don't know if people remember that or not. It's only year 3 for Kenny Dillingham. He took a massive, here's your word of the day, historic step forward for this program and in college football last year. We don't see that stuff very often. It was special. You're asking him to do it again. 35-year-old coach with a program that has been in the dumpster for the better part of the last 10 years. That is not an easy ask. No matter how much you're returning, and he's returning a lot, that's a big ask. That's really my only holdback here. Now, if you ask me, Richie Bradshaw, the fan, hey, Richie, if you miss the playoffs, are you going to be disappointed? Yeah, I am going to be disappointed. Just like you are. Richie, if they don't win the Big 12, are you going to be disappointed? Yes, I am going to be disappointed, just like you are. But at the end of the day, what we do need to understand and what we do need to remember is this is a program that is way ahead of where it should be. This is a program that is not consistently sniffed its maximum potential and success, which we got to last year. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I do think that is in the future. Maybe this is the year it starts. Maybe this is the leaping point. And now the minimum expectation is for the Sun Devils to start winning 9+ games every single year, 10+ games every single year, contend for the Big 12 every single year. That this could be it. This could be the season that gets that ball rolling. But we can't make it that season. Not yet. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments whether or not I'm being fair about ASU having a expectation of college football playoff or bust for this upcoming year. Is a Big 12 title a necessity? Is another conversation in itself. That's coming up next. This is the Locked On College, not Locked On College Football. That's Spencer McLaughlin. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing. Whether or not you're under you love your baseball, whether or not you love your golf, your high stakes soccer action, whatever that might be, FanDuel is the best way to keep every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game with your friends while they're getting sunburned, maybe while you're getting sunburned on the beach or at Lake Pleasant, wherever you might be. I love FanDuel. That's my go-to place. There's daily promotions every day and makes it fun. It's easy to use. There's fast payouts. Regular season games are now must-watch events. There's same-game parlays. You can watch your bet that's riding into the 9th inning. FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thanks again for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils to make us your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and a shout out to the everydayers who are here every day. Okay, so maybe college football playoff or bust shouldn't be where ASU is at. Okay, maybe that's understandable, but do they have to win the Big 12? Is it Big 12 or bust for ASU? Well, that's kind of a different conversation. Sort of. I want to go back to the main point that I had in the first segment. And that's that ASU has not had this kind of sustained annual year-to-year success as a dominant program in a long time. We're going back to the 60s and 70s when Frank Kush was running the WAC with ASU. They were creating the Fiesta Bowl. It was a very different time for the Sun Devils football team. And that's where a lot of the hype comes from for the Sun Devils football team is we have seen how great they can be on an annual basis. There is a vacated championship from 1970 that ASU deserves. They probably should have won it in 1987 when they won the Rose Bowl. There was a lot of very good teams that ASU has had. It's not like that we haven't seen it before. And we saw it last year. That 2024 team, it was a great team. That stacks up with some of the best teams the Sun Devils have had. It truly does. There's a lot of NFL talent on that team. You had a Heisman Trophy finalist on that team. Or I would consider Cam a finalist. You get into the top 5. That's a finalist. There was a lot of good stuff that team did that stacks up historically. And you bring it back. Okay, well, should be able to do it again. In theory, sure. Yeah, that does sound plausible. That sounds maybe like an expectation. I personally, as a fan, I want to say Big 12 or bust for ASU, which I know obviously means college football playoff. I understand that. But it's more understandable to ask for at least pushing for a Big 12 title than it is flat out like deal or no deal makes the college football playoff. The Big 12, what an interesting conference. ASU is, let's try again. ASU previously in the Pac-12, just as much parity. Year-to-year basis, the conference ate each other alive. Anyone could beat anyone. ASU was number 6 in the nation in 2014. They got beat by Oregon State out of the blue. Knocked them completely out of the college football playoff. Oregon, plenty of times looked like the big bad. And then they'd run into Stanford. And then they'd run into Utah. And then they'd run into another program. And it would thump them in the middle of their progress. How many times was USC thwarted from making the college football playoff because they could not get to the finish line? Utah won a championship in consecutive years. They did not make the college football playoff. The conference just did that to itself. It was beautiful in the worst way. Big 12, very similar. The last time the Big 12 had a repeat champion was Oklahoma. Many, many, many times because they ran that thing. Oh, excuse me. For a little while. They knew what they were doing. But outside of Oklahoma, you didn't really have that. I think other than them, I think Colorado was the last team to win the championship in consecutive years. And you certainly have not seen teams go to the championship in consecutive years. That was not Oklahoma. Texas didn't do that. Texas, the blue blood, did not do that. It's not easy to do. So, yeah, they're gone. ASU is in. It's certainly a different Big 12. But that doesn't mean that suddenly the history has changed. It doesn't mean that ASU is going to redefine success in the Big 12. Could ASU be the next Oklahoma? Sure, they could. They could go to the Big 12 championship for the next 10 straight years. They could win it 7 times. That'd be pretty cool. I could see it happening. I could certainly see them repeating this year. And then based off of repeating championships, I have to imagine you're going to sustain that success with kids that want to come play for you. I don't know. That just seems to be the way things work more often than not. It's not that it can't happen, it's that we haven't seen it happen. And even more difficult than that is that this conference is volatile. Literally, not figuratively, not in theory, literally no one repeats in this conference that is not Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is not in this conference. No one even goes to consecutive Big 12 championship games. That is not Oklahoma, who is not in the conference. Wrap your head around that. Now ASU has to do this because they have a lot of talent coming back. I think so. That's also kind of the fan in me. We have to ground ourselves in reality a little bit here and understand that as great as ASU is, games are not won on paper. Just because ASU is bringing back so many good football players and so much production does not mean and guarantee that they are going to be as good as they were last year. If anything, ASU is a prime team to step back because last year's success was so extraordinary. The Big 12 conference, by the way, is still pretty good. Yeah, that team you thrashed in the Big 12 championship game, Iowa State, yeah, they're still pretty good. Kansas State, that's a lot of returning production as well. They added some good football players. Texas Tech probably won the offseason, certainly in the Big 12, with the way they loaded up. Baylor, just like ASU, ended the year hot, just not as hot. That's a good football team. Utah is a bounce back team. They're really good. TCU is a sleeper. We're not even guaranteed that Colorado and BYU take steps back. There's a lot of good programs in the Big 12 that are gunning for ASU. The target is on your back. It is not going to be a walk through the park season for the Sun Devils. Sure, they could go 12-0. They could go 8-4, though. They could. They can go 9-3. They can go 10-2. They are going to have to seriously put their ante up and be ready for a slugfest all year. You're asking ASU to do something that they historically have not done, the conference has not historically done, and now a conference that already loves parity has built up a bunch of really good football teams. Spencer McLaughlin from Locked On College Football has Kansas State and Texas Tech playing in his Big 12 championship game. Now, while he may be wrong, sorry, buddy, he's not out of his realm to believe that because there's so many things that point to that direction. It just is what it is. We'll wrap up here. Is it a necessity? No, with a question mark. But it is a much more realistic kind of goal than the college football playoff. And again, I know there's going to be people in the comments. If you win the Big 12, you go to the playoff. I understand that. I do. But there are still levels to this. There's levels to scraping into a 12-team college football playoff and winning your conference. Because if we're talking 3 years ago, ASU's in the Big 12, If all the realignment happens, but the college football playoff is still only 4 teams, the expectation doesn't suddenly become ASU has to make the college football playoff just because they win their conference. Not at all. But that's not the point. That's a world of ifs. We don't live in a world of ifs. So, yes, I understand you win your conference, you go to the playoff. Is it a college football playoff or go home season? I don't think so. Is it a Big 12 championship or go home season? That feels a little more realistic, but I still don't know that that's 100% what defines success for 2025. What does is coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And again, thank you all so much for tuning into Locked On Sun Devils and making us your first listen of the day. Shout out to the everydayers who are here every day. College football playoff or bust? Not necessarily. Big 12 title or bust? We're getting there. I'm there as a fan. I don't know if that's truly fair, however. Okay, well, then, Richie, what does define success? There's definitely benchmarks and milestones that ASU needs to finish. A lot of what defines success probably is not in the win-loss column. I could hear a collective eye roll when I said that. And I don't want to continue to go to the same thing over and over again, but we kind of have to. You don't ask, excuse me, you don't ask for a team to do this over and over again when they've never done it before. The expectations in Tuscaloosa are vastly, dramatically different from the expectations in Tempe. Same with Columbus compared to Waco. The expectations in Los Angeles are different than the expectations in Berkeley. The expectations in Seattle are different than those in Stillwater. It's a case-to-case basis. Those are all good programs I referenced, by the way. It's not like everything is linear. Not every program is the same. And it's like that in all of sports. The expectations for the Arizona Cardinals are not the same for the Kansas City Chiefs. The expectations for the Arizona Diamondbacks are not the same as the Dodgers. The expectations for the Suns are not the same as the expectations for the Celtics. The expectations for the Sun Devils are not the same as Alabama. It just isn't. So instead of trying to measure the success of the program by wins and losses, by title appearances, by college football playoff appearances, by college football playoff wins, that's something we haven't talked about. And I'm sure that for some people, that might be an expectation. We've already been there with this team. Now we have to win a game. Because we were right there before. We were one play away. That might be your expectation. And I don't think you're out of the world crazy for thinking that. I would be disappointed if we didn't win a college football playoff game. Of course I would be with how close they were. But we also have to understand that there is a much bigger chance and reality that ASU does not sniff that again than it is that they repeat it. We'll get there when we get there. I do think that's within the realm of possibilities. I do think that is an inevitability with this program. Sleeping giant. But we're not there yet. Maybe this is the year that they get there, but we're not there yet. So what you want to see is the growth, the consistency, You want to see that the culture that ASU has firmly established and that Kenny Dillingham has handed down from himself to the players that they have established in the locker room, that stays in place. You can measure that no matter how many wins they have. How do I know that? Well, let's look at 2022 and 2023. Sun Devils went 3-9 both seasons. Put those two teams on the field and face each other. 2023 demolishes 2022. As simple as that. That team was built differently. They had 4 different quarterbacks in 2023. They beat the snot out of 2022. It's more than wins and losses that you measure a team like the Sun Devils with success. Again, this isn't Alabama. Alabama won 9 games last year. That's like a D- on like a letter grade for Alabama football. 9 wins for Tempe is a B+ at worst on a year-to-year basis. We can't get there yet. One day, ASU could be. How many games did you win? You won 8 games? That's not a good season. We could get there. We'll have to wait and see. If you're looking for stuff that you can measure on a screen, on a box score, here's what I'll give to you. Continue to dominate at home. They went undefeated at home last year. I'm not saying they have to do it again this year. I'll say 1 loss is acceptable. 2 losses, maybe not. And it's not as though ASU's not hosting good teams this year. They have a good out-of-conference game with Texas State, G5, soon to be Pac-12, RIP. You're hosting Texas Tech. You're hosting TCU. You're hosting Houston. You have Arizona at the end of the year, which we always know that's a fun game. It's not like ASU's defending home field with nobody coming. But you still need to show that you can kill it at home. You need to prove that you have one of the best home field advantages in college football. That is something. Do they need to finish in the top 10 of the rankings? No, you need to finish top 25. Minimum, you need to finish top 25. Double-digit wins. Maybe not, but I'd say anything less than 9 is a disappointment. Under 10 wins is pretty upsetting. But I will say that if they can get to 10-3 or 10-4 by just winning their bowl game, I'll take it. That's a win for me. It is. If you want to include wins and losses, I'd say double-digit wins probably a necessity one way or another. Whether it's 11 wins in the regular season or 11 wins by the end of the year when the postseason is done. I think that's understandable. I am with you, though. Don't get me wrong. If ASU does not win the Big 12 this year, if ASU does not go to the playoff this year, I will be disappointed. I'm right there with you. Trust me. I'm still a fan at heart. But we can't assign that yet. Not until ASU does it consistently. They do it again this year, then yeah, we are going to look at 2026 a little bit differently. And that's with the majority of this team gone. 2026 is going to be very different one way or another because a lot of the team that's here right now probably not going to be there next year. A lot of those guys are graduating. Several of those guys are eligible to go pro, and they might go pro. It's going to be a very different outlook for this team next year. But for 2025, what does success look like? Maybe it is making the playoff. Maybe it's winning a playoff game. Maybe it's just repeating its success in the Big 12, or maybe it's just sustaining the growth that they have started to put together. Whatever that is, we'll be keeping an eye on it. What does success look like for you, for the Sun Devils in 2025? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36. The podcast is there at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll get an update whenever we post new content. I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils to make this your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Coming up, starting tomorrow, stat predictions. One of my favorite times of the year. Going through the top players on the team, starting with Sam Leavitt, I'm going to tell you his stats. What's he going to do for passing yards, passing touchdowns, interceptions, rushing, all that good stuff. Those will come in bunches along with guys like Jordyn, Tyson, Kanye Udo, and many, many more. We have lots of stuff to get done as well with the season right around the corner. Now's never been a better time to subscribe to the show. I'll catch you later. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.